Chapters 8 to 9 of Tristram Shandy, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, Volume 1 by Laurence Sterne, Chapters 8 to 9. De gustibus non est disputandum. That is, there is no disputing against hobby horses, and for my part I seldom do. Nor could I with any sort of grace, had I been an enemy to them at the bottom, for happening at certain intervals, and changes of the moon, to be both fiddler and painter, according as the fly stings. Be it known to you, that I keep a couple of pads myself, upon which, in their turns, nor do I care who knows it, I frequently ride out and take the air, though sometimes, to my shame be it spoken, I take somewhat longer journeys than what a wise man would think altogether right. But the truth is, I am not a wise man, and besides am a mortal of so little consequence in the world, it is not much matter what I do, so I seldom fret or fume at all about it. Nor does it much disturb my rest, when I see such great lords and tall personages as hereafter follow, such, for instance, as my Lord A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, and so on, all of a row, mounted upon their several horses, some with large stirrups, getting on in a more grave and sober pace, others, on the contrary, tucked up to their very chins, with whips across their mouths, scouring and scampering it away, like so many little party-coloured devils astride a mortgage. And as if some of them were resolved to break their necks, so much the better, say I to myself, for in case the worst should happen, the world will make a shift to do excellently well without them, and for the rest, why, God speed them, e'en let them ride on without opposition from me. For were their lordships unhorsed this very night, 'tis 10 to 1 that many of them would be worse mounted by one half before tomorrow morning. Not one of these instances, therefore, can be said to break in upon my rest. But there is an instance which I own puts me off my guard, and that is, when I see one born for great actions, and what is still more for his honour, whose nature ever inclines him to good ones, when I behold such a one, my lord, like yourself, whose principles and conduct are as generous and noble as his blood, and whom, for that reason, a corrupt world cannot spare one moment, when I see such a one, my lord, mounted, though it is but for a minute beyond the time which my love to my country has prescribed to him, and my zeal for his glory wishes, then, my lord, I cease to be a philosopher, and in the first transport of an honest impatience, I wish the hobby horse with all his fraternity at the devil. My lord, I maintain this to be a dedication, notwithstanding its singularity in the three great essentials of matter, form, and place. I beg, therefore, you will accept it as such, and that you will permit me to lay it, with the most respectful humility, at your lordship's feet. When you are upon them, which you can be when you please, and that is, my lord, whenever there is occasion for it, and I will add, to the best purposes too, I have the honour to be, my lord, your lordship's most obedient, and most devoted, and most humble servant, Tristram Shandy. I solemnly declare to all mankind, that the above dedication was made for no one prince, prelate, pope, or potentate, duke, marquis, earl, viscount, or baron, of this or any other realm in Christendom, nor has it yet been hawked about, or offered publicly or privately, directly or indirectly, to any one person or personage, great or small, but it is honestly a true virgin dedication, untried on upon any soul living. I labour this point so particularly merely to remove any offence or objection which might arise against it, from the manner in which I propose to make the most of it, which is the putting it up fairly to public sale, which I now do. Every author has a way of his own in bringing his points to bear. For my own part, as I hate chaffering and higgling for a few guineas in a dark entry, I resolved within myself from the very beginning to deal squarely and openly with your great folks in this affair, and try whether I should not come off the better by it. If, therefore, there is any one Duke, Marquis, Earl, Viscount, or Baron, in these his Majesty's dominions, who stands in need of a tight genteel dedication, and whom the above will suit, for by the by, unless it suits in some degree, I will not part with it. It is much at his service for 50 guineas, which I am positive is 20 guineas less than it ought to be offered for by any man of genius. My lord, if you examine it over again, it is far from being a gross piece of daubing, as some dedications are. The design your lordship sees is good, the colouring transparent, the drawing not amiss, or, to speak more like a man of science, and measure my piece in the painter's scale, divided into 20. I believe, my lord, the outlines will turn out as 12, the composition as 9, the colouring as 6, the expression 13.5, and the design, if I may be allowed, my lord, to understand my own design, and supposing absolute perfection in design to be as 20, I think it cannot well fall short of 19. Besides all this, there is keeping in it, and the dark strokes in the hobby horse, which is a secondary figure and a kind of background to the whole, give great force to the principal lights in your own figure, and make it come off wonderfully, and besides there is an air of originality in the tout ensemble. Be pleased, my good lord, to order the sum to be paid into the hands of Mr. Dodsley, for the benefit of the author, and in the next edition care shall be taken that this chapter be expunged, and your lordship's titles, distinctions, arms, and good actions be placed at the front of the preceding chapter, all which, from the words de gustibus non est disputandum, and whatever else in this book relates to hobby horses, but no more, shall stand dedicated to your lordship. The rest I dedicate to the moon, who, by the by, of all patrons of matrons I can think of, has the most power to set my book a-going, and make the world run mad after it. Bright goddess, if thou art not too busy with Candid and Miss Cungun's affairs, take Tristram Shandy's under thy protection also. End of chapters 8 to 9.